All right, so we live, man. Hey,
Right.
so we always like
Long time.
shouldn't have left you. Man,
We got lots to talk about.
It is a lot to talk about, man. Normally, I would try to ask some sort of question, but I want
to. No, we have a question for you. What's with all the Kansas City Chiefs stuff, man? Really?
Well,
yeah.
The blood outlet had a sale. So, nah, it was. It's just I wear this every week during the playoffs. Okay.
First of all, how many shows have we done, Jay? 120. What?
We just so happened to we didn't do shows on Wednesday back then.
All of a sudden, he want to jump on the bandwagon. You've been saying they're gonna break my heart.
Every single week I talk about my team, and I say what they gonna do. They gonna break my heart or whatever. Hey, all I did was show up wearing it. That's all. Jay got on the Cleveland Brown shirt, or got on the Brown shirt. It looked like it's brown on the head. Is it brown?
It's green. It's green.
That's Dookie Brown.
Yeah, it looks brown. Let's go ahead and get it.
Oh man, let's do it.
It's on you, man. Go for it. It's on you because it's time for the world class. Well, I ain't even going to our whole introduction.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. What's going on?
All right, and welcome in. Rusty. Welcome into the Barbershop 918. You up in there with your man, Big Drew.
Big Drew.
J Rock.
Boom.
And the one and only Raw Dog. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. It's a lot of different things going on around the NBA. We're going to talk NFL. It's been a while since we've been together. We know you're probably tired of hearing about R. Kelly. We're going to touch on it just a little bit, though. Touch on it was probably the wrong word.
Touch on it.
And so we're also going to talk about the last episode of Blackish because it was really, really great. We got television news and music news. It all comes a part of the world-class word on the streets. And, of course, we got to talk NFL. So all of that and much more is coming your way on the Barbershop 918. As for right now, you in for a treat because it's time for the world-class word on the street.
Word on the street. It's a sweet one.
2019.
2019. Gotta be clean for 19.
Here's the thing. If you're listening to this right now, bless somebody else and share this video. Share this video now. Let this blessing spread throughout the internet. All right?
You know how the preachers always have something different to say every year?
Yeah. That's what
you gotta be clean in 2019.
All right.
Straight from 2008.
Yep.
Because it went to heaven in 2007.
Yep.
You know that, Drew.
Well, yeah, I've said them. I sat down hours just laboring, sweating hard like LV on that Coolio video.
Gangsta's Paradise.
Yeah, trying to write new ones.
I was sweating, man. Golly.
Still sweating to this day.
Yeah.
And music news, not much going on music-wise. We're not going to go through the numbers, but we are going to talk about the R. Kelly documentary. Now, I have a couple of different angles. One thing I want to mention about this documentary that is interesting is that after Sundance, HBO has already picked up a new Michael Jackson documentary where they're going to explore two of his alleged victims. And so this won't be the last documentary that we're going to have to take in that's going to be exploiting African-American men's sexual misconduct allegations or issues. In the case of R. Kelly, we don't really say allegations. We tend to just believe all of that's true. And it's one of those things where I think we're finally drawing a good line as a community where I think everybody's like, all right, I'm out. It's too much. But yet people are still showing up to the shows.
He sold out a concert in Chicago, man.
Why?
And you know what? People saying, kidnap me.
Kidnap me. Take me hostage. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's something that I don't think we'll ever be able to understand. I don't think we'll be able to grasp.
Why we do that? Why do we? I'm talking about us. Why do we do that?
And I don't think it's specific to like the African American culture because like all those other like Elvis still sold, and we know what he did with Priscilla Presley. Like people knew, so it's a part of why do we do it as a society with rock and roll culture and with our musicians? Why do we give them a pass? Even Drake just recently, bringing a young lady up on stage, hearing her say what her age is. And then talk about and then say it again, like is still sexualize her after she states her age. So it's kind of like we've just always given a pass because I think maybe it's a part of our. And this is not giving a pass to these perverts or any of these people, but I think sometimes we give a pass because it goes back to sometimes maybe our childhood thoughts or fantasies or things of that nature. Maybe I don't know. Like when I was underage, I wanted Janet Jackson to pull me up on stage. I don't know.
Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of R. Kelly's music is integral to a lot of our lives, man. I mean, I Believe I Can Fly. I mean, come on, man.
Graduations, picnics. It's a lot of different things that you don't lose out.
Step in the Name of Love.
I mean, it's hard not to like all of his music. He is a talented individual. However, he's sick. So I think, in general, we have a hard time, either it's trying to separate the art from the person, or do you separate the art from the person? It's difficult.
And I think when the art is, because of the person's personality, when the art begins to make you wonder how much it, has taken on real life, that's hard when it seems like you're ready and age ain't nothing but a number begins to take on actual meanings. It is very disturbing. It is hard to celebrate the music. I wish people would just, if you're curious about the lyrics, please look it up and stop paying this guy. Streaming counts as sales now. So stop listening to the music out of curiosity.
Dude is in plain sight. He's making it very clear. He's at the point where he's arrogant about it. Yeah. Like, he thinks he's Teflon Don. He's never, ever going to get in trouble for any of this. He's just going to continue doing it because he's a sick guy. What he needs is, Shadow Mountain. He needs therapy. That's what he needs.
He needs his butt whoop. And the other thing, and real quick before we move on past this, if his brother gets out of jail, please, nursing homes, do not hire him as a dietary assistant. Don't give him employment. He will be up in there like, no. Because if I
nasty. Give him the nasty award with his brother.
His brother does not need to be hired at any nursing home. Keep him away from him. Don't even let him go to a halfway house with people over 60 in it. Like, there's a
reason why he's in the clink, man.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. And
God bless R. Kelly's younger brother, who almost got indicted for being the one that was on the tape. And we all know that was Robert. That was Robert Sylvester.
And he was going to let it, and I believe he was going to let his brother go down for it, too.
Heck yeah, man.
That's just terrible.
That's the kind of family they are, man.
Yep.
Once that mom passed away, them brothers and them siblings just went after each other, man. So, I mean, God bless these women and these girls that went through this terrible, terrible experience, man, of basically being brainwashed. Legally, he hasn't done anything wrong as far as the cult is concerned, because he's not keeping them there against their will, but he has brainwashed them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's just, you got to pay for that, man. That's karma.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sex trafficking all day. It's the same as any other pimp out there. It's the same thing. Hey, my sister's in here. Shrine.
What's up, Ronnie Love?
Casey Ronnie Love. All right, it's time for us to move on to a little bit of movie news, man. What you got for the box office chumps?
Let's check out what's happening on the box office, man. First of all, I want to point out that, I was looking for it. It's not on here. Okay, well, anyway, let's start with number 5. We got Escape Room. Y'all heard of that one?
Yeah, I do want to see
it.
Yeah. That was number 2 last week. It's number 5 this week. Number 4, I actually went and saw this one. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, it's great. Ain't it good?
It's really, really good.
It's good. It's really good. It deserves the best animated movie.
I took Little Man to it, and it was probably one of the best animated movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. And number 3, A Dog's Way Home. It's just one of them cute movies about the dog that gets lost and finds its way home. It's pretty self-explanatory.
It's in the title, yeah.
Yeah. And number 2 is the powerhouse Aquaman. That
Went
was
to
at
go
number
see that.
1.
Still there?
No, it's number 2. Number 2.
Oh, okay.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Now check out what's number 1 though. The Upside with Kevin Hart and the guy from Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, that should be. That seemed like it's a really good movie.
Crandall, is that his name? Brian Crandall or something like that?
Ryan, doggone it. You're gonna make me look his name up.
The dad from Malcolm in the Middle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brian Cranston.
Cranston.
Yeah. So that is the number 1. Is that it made 20 mil, which is kind of a small amount for a weekend gross, but it beat everybody else. So yeah, the Upside at number 1, man. Now let's see. Oh, If Bill Street Could Talk.
Yeah.
I'm going to see that this weekend.
It is. Last week it was at 14. This week it's at 12, so it's actually moving up because it's getting more of a expanded release.
And go out and read the book. Just in case.
I've never read the book.
Really? I'm surprised.
But it is one of the movies that I'm telling everybody to go see because it's being expanded. If Bill Street Could Talk, y'all know about Regina King winning the Golden Globe for her performance, and it looks amazing. This is the same guy that made Moonlight. The Moonlight.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they say it's an amazing set in the 70s in Harlem. They said it's a beautifully made movie.
Yeah, it's a James Baldwin novel, so
you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something a little different, coming out this Friday is Glass.
Yes.
Part Willis,
3. Samuel.
L. Jackson, and James McAvoy. Now, if you're not an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong fan, then you ain't gonna get this.
You know that's slightly racist, but I'm gonna let you finish.
Is it?
Yeah.
I can't say his last name, man. So I just kind of went with it. But he did Unbreakable, which it featured Samuel Jackson's Mr. Glass and Bruce Willis as.
And then Split is part 2.
Yeah, and it's Split, and that was supposed to be a trilogy. So, from what I can tell from the previews, it looks pretty decent. So, you want to go check that out? By all means, check it out. It comes out this weekend.
Yeah.
And that's what's coming out for January 18th, 2019, baby.
All right, so it's time for a little bit of television news and television. Netflix is raising the price by $2. So there you have that. So now Netflix is going to cost $16.
Yeah, we're going to pay it.
Yeah, we're going to pay it. You're going to pay it. It's not like you're not going to pay it.
You using my password? Y'all chipping in at $2.
It's a very pimp-prostitute relationship.
It's very Kelly-ish. It's so we.
Hey, do y'all know that Eddie Murphy's got a movie coming out on Netflix called My Name Is Dolomite?
Yes. And Coming to America too.
Is it him doing Rudy Ray Moore's story?
Yeah, it's the biography of Rudy Ray Moore. He's in it. Mike Epps is in it. Michael Key's in it. T.I. is in it. But it's going to be on Netflix exclusively. There's a directed by my man Craig Brewer, who did Hustle and Flow, Black Snake Moan, and he's like Jay said, he's also doing Coming to America too. They are actually doing that right now.
We can't forget about Us as well. My guy who made Get Out, the Us movie that's coming out in March.
Oh yeah. That looks very interesting. I don't know exactly what's going on in the movie, but it looks like something I want to go see.
Yeah. Well, T-Mobile only pays part of it, so that you still will have to pay that increase. I'm just throwing that out. I was reading what she said about T-Mobile paying her Netflix bill.
Okay.
So I look at it like this. Rail pulled it together for the last 2 episodes. Hopefully, I really hope he gets renewed because the last 2 episodes was real. He talked about his mom and his mom passing away and the guilt that he kind of felt for years behind it. I was on the elliptical in the gym watching that episode and they probably thought I was a nutcase because I was in there crying. Like it was an emotional episode for me.
Yes. I'm in the same boat as you, bro.
And what was and it's like not funny, but like what was kind of like ironic, I guess I could say for me, it's like my mom had just literally left me a message and was like, "Hey, I'm about to go into the hospital, baby. Give me a call back later." And so like I hurry up and called her right afterwards. But it was like that was a very emotional episode, and that's real TV. And I can appreciate that Like they talked about the different grieving processes that people have to go through, how everybody in the family kind of grieved a little bit different, and how Rail was just holding on to like a voicemail, and how the dad was kind of just not wanting to cry because his generation doesn't cry. So it was really good. It was a pretty good episode. Then the last episode was one that hit me again personally because it was where his wife moved away with the kids to Cleveland, and it was his first visit back to try to help correct a disciplinary issue, and I've lived literally that exact experience and had the exact outcome. The exact outcome. Like, it matched perfectly. And that's the reality. And I'm glad Rail put it out there because for years I felt like I was the anomaly. I felt like like that we're always told that it's always these difficult baby mama, ugly relationships. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes, and a lot of times in our community, parents get together and they do what's best for the children. So the difficulty of being a parent at a distance, it brought up those emotions. So Rail just did his thing, man. He did, I think those last 2 episodes, he just did real TV. Did you check him out, Jay?
Yeah, I checked out the I guess the mid-season finale. I don't know if he's going to be picked up, but I watched it, but my DVR cut off at the end because of the runover from the Saints-Eagles game.
Oh.
But with the real episode, I mean the real season, I like the concept of the show because it's real. It's not like like with Blackish, like Anthony Anderson and Bo and everything. Like Real is, he live in the South Side of Chicago. He lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not fancy and all that stuff. I feel like it may not get picked up because I was looking at ratings because the first episode was 5.9 million viewers, and then it like just dragged down to 1.8, 1.7. And also with Just Hilarious or whatever her name is, she just doesn't fit in. Like I know she's a comedian, but she's not an actress. So I just couldn't they should have had somebody else that was more believable as that role. And Sinbad, he's Sinbad. He's funny. He made me laugh in the episode, the mom episode, because he tried to be tough and he really was going through it. And when he had that jacket, man, I lost it, man.
Yeah,
because dirty tears.
They were dirty tears.
Had to bring that back. Had to bring that 2015 flow back. Yes.
It was. Yep. All right. So speaking of Blackish, man, it's time for us to talk about Blackish a little bit. It was a excellent episode last night. It was an episode all about the things that we go through specifically. It was not really specific to the African American community because Blackish was really good to be fair about saying that this is a cultural issue that really spans all over the world, and that's colorism. People having preferences toward lighter colored individuals. Raw Dog, you said this one kind of hit you in a particular place because we had some comments on our Facebook page after I think it was our last show. You called, you commented on Draymond Green being too dark, and somebody got right back with you and didn't appreciate the nature in which and how you said it. So you kind of saw a good tie-in between that episode and those comments. So what do you got?
Absolutely. First of all, the episode was very well written, especially towards the end where the grandmother really had to break it down to her family, how it really felt to be on that darker side. And then, actually, it educated me because you really don't think about how it is to be on the lighter side. Because, we do team dark skin and team light skin, and we talk about light skinned people all the time. We never thought that it could hurt their feelings. I kind of felt some type of way. So it does tie into a joke that I made, probably the last show or the show before that. I don't want to repeat the joke at the time because I go off the top of the head. I'm not a stand-up comedian like the person who made the comment. Let me just say the person that made the comment, her name is Edwanda White. She is actually a working stand-up comedian. I've seen her on Def Comedy Jam. I've seen her on Comic View, and she's really, really funny. She took offense to what I had to say, and it was a color joke, and she didn't like it. She pretty much wrote a very long post saying how in this day and age, how can you as an African American talk about another African American about skin color and this, that, and the other. Now, even though I definitely respect her opinion, and I love the fact that she took time out to even write a comment, I disagree with her, and I disagree with her from a comedian standpoint. Okay, let me explain that. When I think about a comedian telling another comedian, now I'm not a stand-up comedian. I do improv. Same thing. It reminds me of the joke that Eddie Murphy said about when Bill Cosby called him and told him that he was too dirty. You know, every comedian has their threshold. I don't do jokes about God. That's my threshold. I don't think that's funny. I don't do jokes about religion. Some other comedians do. Now, who am I to tell that other comedian, well, you shouldn't be able to do that joke because that's my threshold. You know, if that's my threshold, that's my personal opinion. That's where I stop. You know, I stop the line. For one comedian to tell another comedian that you shouldn't do certain types of jokes is ridiculous. You know, who's to say whose threshold is right or wrong? I'm an equal opportunity offender, and even though the joke had a little bite to it, it was a joke. You know, I don't really think that it was just a joke. And in this time of it's so PC now. It's hard on people who are funny. It's hard on comedians because you are afraid to say certain things that you could get away with just 5 years ago, because everyone is calling you out on what you have to say. So although I definitely respect her opinion, I totally disagree with it because if it's funny, it's funny. That's my thing. If the funniness is further than the offensiveness, it's funny. And I would love, actually, if Miss Edwanda would come on the show and we can actually talk more in depth about that. You know, I would, you know me, I'm always down for a good debate. So, Miss White, if you're watching, DM us. Let us know if you want to come on the show. We'll hook it up, and we would love to have that kind of discussion. But that's kind of where I'm at with that, and that's Raw Dog's opinion.
All right. So, kind of separate from that, one of the things that we have observed from watching, like when I watched this episode of Blackish, it made it. Diane had the best. Her angle was so good because it is such an unspoken thing that we continue to just do. And like we continue to kind of go into is having these conversations and these jokes. And even the example that they used, like with the light-skinned lion, I ain't gonna lie, I thought that was hilarious. And once they showed it, I felt, now I'm like, now it ain't that funny. And I'm like, well, I probably shouldn't have laughed at that. And then even within my own family, which is like, and I'm talking like with my children, all of us have different kind of shades, but like my two older daughters, they are significantly light, you know, like, or my two, not older, my two daughters, just in general, they are significantly lighter than the rest of us. And I've seen the way people assume things when they see me in the store, and it's brought up different issues and stuff. And so it's such a real, actual issue. And I think I've openly joked with like my daughter a lot, one of them specifically, and saying that like she's of another ethnicity. Then I've even taken some of the Blackish jokes and ran with it and said that like my oldest daughter, her real dad is Rick Fox. You know, like I've done what a lot of people do and kind of make those jokes, and it really did make me stop and say, okay, how much of this, just like you had said earlier, how much of this is probably hurting their feelings? And I guess you could be in the same boat because your wife is a different complexion than you. So
my daughter is very fair skinned, very light. You know, because my mom is really light, and my wife's father was very, very, you know, light skinned. So she's lighter than me and my son, who are the darker ones in the family. And we have those kind of jokes all the time. Now my wife refuses to believe that she's light skinned. She really wants to. I'm like, babe, no, that don't work. But you don't think about. I mean, I really felt convicted, you know, watching this show. I'm like, yeah, I've said that, or yeah, that's been a conversation we've had in our household. I don't know, man. It's just ingrained in our community, man. It's unfortunate. and it made me feel some type of way.
Yeah.
You know, now I stand by what I said about a comedian shouldn't tell another comedian was funny, but I did feel slightly guilty after watching the Blackish episode. I was like, wow.
And that's,
it was like, you know what I mean?
But
I
that's
felt some
human.
type of way.
Yeah. Nobody has one set feeling on anything. And not trying to mix the topics, but it's sort of like how people look at the R. Kelly thing and they're like, man, I still kind of like this song, even though he's a horrible person. But society's telling you, you just got, like right now, we all just got to hate him. Blindly hate him. Ignore the fact. And I'm not saying support him. I don't want us to support him. But, hey, I heard a song from the college. I heard like, I think it was Ride Slow or Drive Slow. I was like, man, I still like Kanye.
Kanye West, yeah.
Like this dude was still a genius. And you still want to celebrate him. You just don't, you know.
You don't like the person's where he at right now.
Yeah, I get it. So we all kind of differ in different ways, man. Let's go ahead. Jay, you ain't really say much on this. You want to say anything before I close it out?
Yeah, you know, we make jokes and like it's one of those that episode was like say it again.
Kareem Akbar.
Kareem Akbar. Like I call my best friend and your brother-in-law Kareem Akbar, and like I honestly, even with that, you know, how does he, like, I know he jokes, but does it really hurt his feelings? Because, you know, even with my cousins, like growing up, I had two cousins that were fairly dark-skinned, and we used to always like make fun of them. You know, it's like a lot of jokes. Like one of them we called Chip, like chocolate chip, because his brother's light-skinned and he's dark-skinned. And, you know, he's embraced it, and he's like, you know, my black is beautiful. And so he's like embraced that. And it's one of those things where you didn't know, like when we was growing, we used to pick on them and everything. We found, like you beat up on your family and everything. But like looking at the episode, then listening to the Jennifer Lewis when she was like, you know, I'm not a monster, you know, and all that. Like I didn't expect that when her and Bo are going back at each other. That was like, to me, I like the way the story has been going this season, because if you know Dre's mama, she's always had something to say to Bo, and it was just like it just came right at the head right there, and they just boom, and just had like their moment. Yeah, and it was good that they were able to talk and say what they had to say and let their feelings out and let it be shown. So it was a great episode.
That's in black families, you know, we all come in different hues. That goes without saying that the first thing you're gonna pick on is that skin color. You know, as being a dark-skinned person, the first thing you're going to hear if somebody's roasting you is, oh, you old black, and so and whatever goes after that. You know what I mean? And it just goes without saying. That's what we do. Now, is it right? Is it healthy? Probably not. But it's been so ingrained in our community that it's just there. Yeah. And I don't know what we can do about that, but just get more educated, I guess. Yeah. You know?
And I think a lot of times we've pushed, like, for example, I know at least for me, I've always been taught and have always been proud of how dark I am, or my darkness, or my blackness in general. So I've never felt like if someone made fun of my shade of darkness or lightness or however, because I'm that, you know, like no matter what it is, I found pride in it. And I think sometimes once you get to a point where you find pride in who you are, it doesn't bother you. So sometimes you don't go as extreme to say, well, we won't say this or we won't say that. You just kind of move on and live with it. But dialogue always brings healing in those family structures. And I think Blackish displayed that well, because everybody kind of apologized. And I think that's, even though it's a fictional family, if you think about that in real life, dialogue can create healing. So I hope that people really do begin to start to heal through some of the issues that they have in their family or whatnot.
I'm sorry, Draymond. I didn't mean it, man.
It's part of me that don't know. I don't know if that's real. If that's a real apology.
Drew.
No, it's not up to me to judge you. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the NFL, and in the NFL, the Professional Football Writers Association has named an MVP. And that MVP is Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying, the professional football writers cover it all the time. They know what they're talking about. So
it's showtime.
Yeah, so there we go.
I hope Patrick enjoys it now, because come this weekend, there's going to be a letdown.
Okay. I kind of feel like we just had this nice, beautiful Afrocentric, just kind of circle of love, and then you gonna go ahead and just gonna hop on over there to Tom Brady on some other.
No, I'm not hopping. I'm a realist, Drew.
No,
come on.
No,
Drew. In the back of your mind, you know what's gonna happen. Look at me, Drew.
No, man.
Look at him. Look at him.
No.
You know what's gonna happen.
No.
Jay.
No, man.
Jay,
for me.
What do you think is gonna? No, Jay. What do you think is gonna happen this weekend between the Patriots and the Chiefs? Be honest.
Well, I think we jumping ahead of the curve.
No,
I think we talking about Showtime Mahomes being the MVP.
We're there now. We'll get back to the MVP, but I'm just because I want Drew to face reality. Jay, what do you think is going to happen this weekend?
Well, I think Drew wanted us to talk about the Cowboys and the Bears first before we got to the Chiefs.
Man. Drew ain't going to whoop you, man.
Here's the reality. Here's the reality. There's something that has already happened, and it's time for us to talk about what has happened. We can speculate about the future. You got a 50% chance of being right or wrong, but I'm 100% right when I say that the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys have been eliminated from contention. That I am right about.
Hey, that's because our field goal kickers suck, man. We were one kick away from being in the Super Bowl, man.
Now, it was blocked. It was blocked, man. It was blocked.
It was blocked. I know, but still, how you? Oh God!
Y'all didn't have to treat Cody like that, man.
You know, when I saw that, the life got sucked out of me. Literally, I felt like a vampire had taken all the life out of me when I saw that doggone football.
Oh my God, he about to break his desk.
He ruined an amazing season.
An overachieving season. You guys overachieved. Yep. You know you did.
Just like the Cowboys did. We both overachieved. We knew we weren't going to make the playoffs this year.
Is that what you're saying?
Is
that what you're saying, Drew?
I need to.
No. Answer the question. Are the Chiefs overachieving this year?
First off, hold on. I'm grown. Let me. But somebody over here being fake and saying Chiefs Nation when a couple of years ago, I think she came on this show talking about the Atlanta Falcons.
She did?
You could not jump on this bandwagon.
You're talking about Ronnie Love.
Yeah. You will not jump on this man. I ignored you earlier when you complimented my hat. But no.
No, you can't do that. We remember stuff like that.
We do.
If you see him, point him out. Point him out.
So, but with that,
but answer my question, Drew. Are the Chiefs not overachieving this year?
I think, considering where we were last year as a number one seed, for us to advance to this point, no. I think this was the natural progression because this was where we were last year. It's not as though we came in and we weren't a playoff team. We were a playoff team last year and the year before. So this is a standard. We should have progressed with a coach who's made it to the Super Bowl before, with a roster that can, of veterans that can on the offensive side that's good. You're looking at Patrick Mahomes and saying he's the whole team and we're overachieving.
No, I'm not doing that.
But no, I think it's legit. I think it's legit to be where we are. Now, if we get to the Super Bowl, depending on the opponent, I would say the Super Bowl would be one of those things where it's like, do I have 100% hope that we can? But here's the thing. I am realistic about this. I don't think we're going to go into a game with sub-zero temperatures and play against Tom Brady, who's been in sub-zero and who's cheated in sub-zero temperatures before.
Deflated.
Yeah. I don't expect it to be an easy game, but on the same token, I don't view it as though their experience and who they are is going to disclude us because it still is any given Sunday.
All right, Jay, I'm going to go back to you. I'm going to give you another chance to redeem yourself and be a grown man. What do you think is going to happen this weekend between the Patriots and the Chiefs? So act like Drew ain't even there, man.
No, I'm just I think this is as much as I hate it, I think New England is going to beat Kansas City. I mean, I love Showtime Mahomes.
Why?
But I think Thanos Brady is still he still has 5 rings.
Welcome into the barbershop. 506. I don't even know what my area code is here. I'm going solo from
816. 816.
What is my? I think it's 360.
Somebody Google Drew's.
Kansas City is 816.
Well, I live in Vancouver, Washington. That's why I was trying to figure out what.
Oh, okay.
No, Drew, I give props to the Chiefs. I give props to Mahomes. I give props to Andy Reid. But I just don't think they have enough to get past New England. I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's going to be a close game, but I think New England's probably going to win by a field goal.
And I can respect that. And like I said, and I feel like it's like I said last time. Okay, so the last two times that my team is faced up against, and we've done the show, and I've given predictions about how I felt our chances were with New England. That very first time, a couple of years ago, I said we was going to get killed. We killed them. Then this year, I kind of backed down off of it a little bit, and I was like, I don't know what it's going to be. And it was one of the tightest and one of the best games I've seen in a while, and we came out on the losing side. So there's a potential that could happen again, that could repeat itself, but it's a potential that we could even it out, and we could take it. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
And let's shift over to...
We got Chuck Pagano as an assistant coach now. I don't know if that means anything.
Who did you lose as an assistant? Did y'all lose your offensive coordinator?
Yeah. No, the D coordinator went to the Broncos, Vic.
Okay.
Vic Pagamo, Vic something. But Chuck Pagano is probably their DC now for the Bears.
Chuck. So that's a good sign. And if we got a shot next year, man. We need to get a new kicker.
Yeah, well, kickers come a dime a dozen. Like you're not gonna Adam Vinatieri was the standard, and you saw what he did last week. Like with the Colts, he missed 2 or was it 3 field goals? So,
he missed 2.
All you do is kick, man. Dang, just kick the ball.
That's all you gotta do. But then again, we can't do that. Like we saw that stream of Chicago fans who thought I could make that, and they kept falling on their butt because it is hard to kick.
I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to kick a football either.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid millions.
Leave Cody alone.
He also ain't getting paid $1 million.
You're not from Chicago. You do not understand, sir. You don't understand how the people in that city feel right about now, man. We have gone through 6 seasons of mediocrity. We had a chance to really do some things this year, and we did, but at least get to the next level of the playoffs. That's not how you want to lose, man. If you got the best defense in the NFL, you don't want to lose by a field goal.
Y'all let them down. The best defense in the league let them down. Y'all let Nick Foles go down the field and throw a touchdown.
Right. So what did the Cowboys do?
They lost. Lost to the Rams.
What they do wrong?
They couldn't stop the run.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you feel as though the Rams are overachieving also?
No, the Rams.
Because
they had the same team from last year.
They're really good, man.
They are really good, but I feel like the Rams are in a very similar boat as the Chiefs. Like I feel like to some degree they're overachieving as well. I don't feel that way.
They're not going to beat the Saints. There's no way they're beating the Saints in the Dome. Now, if they were playing in L.A., they had a shot because Saints don't play well on the road. But if they're at home, Saints are good. They're patient, just like they did last Sunday. When they were losing, they didn't go crazy. They just took over the ball. They took over time of possession. So I don't see the Rams getting past the Saints. It's going to be Saints, Patriots for the Super Bowl.
All right.
And that makes it easy for us to boo against, the Patriots because everybody hates the Patriots.
That's true. I don't know many good people who like the Patriots.
Except people who are in New England.
Yeah.
Wherever that is.
Anybody that's a New England fan that's in Oklahoma, you are a bandwagon rider or anywhere like that.
Yeah.
What now? Say it again.
Anybody that's a New England fan that's like in this region of the country, you are a bandwagon rider.
I've only met one New England fan ever, and that's because she's from that area.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I worked with somebody that she graduated from McLean. Roxanne, we worked at AT&T together. She grew up in Mass, and then she moved here when she was a kid. So outside of her, all my friends from ESPN, they're the only true New England Patriots fans.
So let me ask. Well, there's a couple of subjects that I want us to talk about in the NFL, and we may not get to them today. One, and this one I don't want us to get to today. I just want to irritate Jay with this one. If the Cowboys are America's team, will the Cowboys remain being Black America's team? Because a lot of African Americans are now denouncing Cowboy fame. I mean, being Cowboy, because of the fame of Jerry Jones kind of rising and seeming more and more openly and blatantly just kind of
racist.
Yeah. And so will it remain Black America's team, even though it'll be known as America's team?
I can't hear what you're saying because Jay moving around too much.
What are you talking about, man? You saying denounce? I haven't seen any black people stop being Cowboy fans, sir.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Look at the passion.
Hey, it's an article on the Undefeated about it, man. I'll send you a link to it.
Stephen A. Smith probably wrote it as Hayden.
Oh,
Hayden Smith. That's what I call him.
There's another subject going on in the NFL. The Rooney Rule had some tweaks made to it, kind of almost in secret in November or in December, where basically now it's required that all decision makers have to be present in the room, because what's been going on with the Rooney Rule in the past was individuals they they knew, like, for example, in Oakland, they already had John Gruden signed. They had to undo everything just so that they can say, oh, we don't want to get fined. And they went ahead and grabbed somebody off of the list and interviewed the guy from who was down there with Bruce Arians, interviewed him, and knew they weren't going to give him the job. So now there's tweaks being made to it where the committee is picking individuals, and the ownership or whoever the final decision makers are have to be involved in the process from beginning to end. There are a lot of... That's
dirty. That's dirty that they've been doing that, man.
Yeah. So there's adjustments being made. Statistically, it's showing that, having a black coach isn't at this point has proven to be a better thing, but it has proven to offer more chances for African Americans to break into coaching through assistant coaches and other different things. So it's a lot to kind of keep an eye on. I think is it one more coaching position open?
Yep, and it's going to be filled when, I think, New England, whenever there's, or the Rams, whenever it's either New England or the Rams, whenever their season ends, their linebacker coach is going to be the Bengals head coach. Yeah. Since Marvin Lewis is no longer employed with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wow, somebody must have got a hold of Marvin Lewis's tape and destroyed it.
Yeah. Must have. But the key thing is, we're starting to see a lot of people have been really upset with like the hiring of Cliff. What's the guy from Texas Tech? Had a losing season, got fired, and then gets an NFL job.
Cliff Kingsbury. He was the OC at USC for a month, and then he became the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
which only gave the brother Steve Wilkes one season when he had the support of his team that wanted him back. But the Arizona Cardinals fired him.
So it's a lot going into this. So we're going to kind of keep monitoring and see what's going on and having this discussion. But I feel like it's important for us to at least bring it up and say that as fans and people who support the NFL continuously is giving us reasons to not support them. And we're going to end up on the side. Like Common just recently made a statement to TMZ where he's like, I ain't supporting the NFL until they do right by Cap. And I'm thinking it's about to get to this point where the NFL is just that. I made this statement on one of my clients' podcasts where when he asked me about this subject, and I said it's the NFL is they're basically trying to make the NFL great again. They're doing a whole.
It's the modern day plantation, man.
Yeah.
Whereas, basically the NFL is the South and the NBA is the North.
And speaking of good segue. And speaking of the NBA, a lot of different things are going on in the NBA. The Warriors are officially back. They had a 51-point first quarter against the Denver Nuggets, sending a clear message that it don't matter if you number one, that we are still really number one. And so it's kind of a
ain't going nowhere. Right here.
I hate to see that type of thing go down. I hate to see them drop 10 threes in one quarter and 51 points in a quarter and break, those type of records. But it does remind us, it's that sobering reminder that no matter how good your team is, and even if they bounce back and forth with first and second, once the Warriors get their stuff together, they are playing with an all-star team.
And DeMarcus Cousins makes a season debut on Friday.
Yeah, and it's very discouraging. I guess that's the whole point that I'm getting at. It's like,
he's going to punch out.
Yeah.
He's going to punch somebody.
But speaking of all-star, I got a real quick, just not even like serious all-star questions. Do you feel like Klay Thompson, kind of speaking of the Warriors, do you feel like Klay Thompson is an all-star?
No, but if he was on any other team, he would be.
Do you think, because this year I feel like Draymond's been injured and but I never agreed with Draymond making an all-star game after that 1 year. That 1 year he was an all-star legit. But the rest of these years, it was just riding the success of everyone else on the team and fan voting in that region. But I kind of look at it like this. I was looking at it, and it's like I feel like DeMar DeRozan deserves to be an All-Star over Klay Thompson. But more than likely,
you mean as a starter or just as a reserve?
As a reserve, he's definitely not starting material. But either one of them, like at least I don't think that. I mean,
Harden. Yeah,
I would say the numbers James Harden is putting up, and if people just love Steph Curry, I honestly don't think Steph is with the injuries, but you can't deny that the dude is what he is when he gets on the court.
He's just popular, man. Yeah. That's that. It's becoming a popularity contest. It always has been.
Well, so this
Derek, go ahead. My bad.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, even though what James Harden is doing right now, he's still third in the voting behind Steph Curry and Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with the Derrick Rose thing, and I think it'll taper off because they always make sure that it does. But I would love to see Dwayne Wade and Derrick Rose in the All-Star game. Like, I would love to see that. And I don't care if it's...
Hey, man, I saw Wade play recently against, who would they play? I don't know who they played, but, man, Dwayne Wade can still get up, man. Even though this is his last season, it was good to see Wade. He literally came in and changed the game and then went back to the bench.
So amongst West big men, let me ask you something, because I know Steven Adams isn't going to make the All-Star game. I feel like he should, but then here of lately he's been playing soft, so I'm kind of even backpedaling on that. But if there was a choice, if you had Rudy Gobert, Steven Adams, or let's just say Aldridge, who do you really put in there?
Aldridge.
Hands down?
Yeah, I mean, he put 53 points on us the other night. And plus, the All-Star game has changed. It's not East versus West. It's the top
but you still got to vote. You still have to vote in East and West, though. Like, as fans, we still vote East-West.
I mean, I would say Aldridge. The Spurs, they've been struggling. They were struggling a lot, but, Aldridge's play is kind of, he's kind of like Tim Duncan. They don't get much what's the word I'm looking for? They don't get a lot of love because, this isn't the same San Antonio Spurs team from 2-3 years ago. So he's quietly putting up 20 and 10. I mean, he put 53 points on the Oklahoma City Thunder the other night with ease. They had nothing to stop him.
Yeah. And I think that's, and it's sad because when you got like Joker and Anthony Davis, you're not going to probably make the All-Star game. You know what I'm saying? But it's still like if an injury or somebody withdraws, it's just an interesting question to bring up. Last thing that's kind of All-Star related I wanted to ask you guys is, if LeBron James continues to miss games, is he still worthy of actually being the All-Star starter? Like, and really, what do you do with that?
Now you're comparing worthiness versus popularity. LeBron's going to always be popular.
Oh, he's more likely to get voted in. But
LeBron could miss the whole season. As long as he's in the NBA, he's going to be in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually forgot LeBron played for the Lakers. Like, I'm dead serious. The other night I was like, wait a minute, LeBron play on this team, and he's been out since Christmas. He's on vacation right now, getting his refills. So he can make that stretch run after the All-Star break in hopes of getting the Lakers into the playoffs. Because the Lakers look very trash right now. They have no LeBron. They have no Rondo.
It showed me one thing. It did show me that this man truly is an MVP. Like, I can't argue that this cat means a lot to a conference and to a league. Like, he really is great, because I don't understand how they went from, like, Lillard, like being fourth place, getting so close, and now it's just like, it's such night and day, such a difference with him being, with him missing. Other teams look decent, but they look like crap without him. They can't, we can maintain without Russ a little, but I guess they can't.
We actually play good without Russ if we want to be real. We seen that earlier this season.
Play much better without Russ.
Let's go ahead and get into that then, because, like, we ain't got to keep it quiet. What do you think? You think, like, the Thunder are playing, they got some woes. There's some bad things going on. Like, what do you think it is? What's going on? Why are we not winning? Like, we lost to the Hawks last night.
Pete the Puma, even though he may not play this season, we really need him right now because our defense is trash. We gave up 142 points to the Hawks. We gave up 153 points to the Spurs last week. It's just terrible. A home loss to the Washington Wizards, who are without John Wall. this team right now is nocturnal. You know, we don't know which team we're gonna get.
They're shooting too many threes.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. I feel like we were in a good flow when we had when we were really pressing it in with Adams, and they were just running the heck out of that little pick and roll, and it's kind of gotten to the point where we're not letting our defense create offense like we were at the beginning of the season. We are still getting some defensive, stops. We're getting a few, and we're getting points on defense, but off of defense. But it's not like it was at first. It seemed like the season started off more defensive minded, and the energy was a lot better. And I think one of the things to me that killed the energy for the team, and it was Abrinas leaving. What I feel like is mysterious. I don't know if you guys have read a story that explains it, but Abrinas disappearing was similar. Last time I seen someone kind of disappear like Abrinas has, it was like when Mitch disappeared with his drug issue, Mitch McGarry. But I think that killed our energy because the rotation changed, and then we start bringing in Nader and other people and stretching the game, trying to stretch the offense out with these young players, with the starters, and it just wasn't enough firepower offensively, and I think we've suffered also because of that. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I heard everything he said. I know, Brenus was out mysteriously for a long time, and we just couldn't get consistent play from different players like Ricky Bell's son. The concussion he had that really hurt as well because we could have really used him against San Antonio. Nerlens Noel. We could have really used him against San Antonio because Jeremy Grant, I love the guy. He's scrappy. In fact, he's been probably the most improved player on the team this year. He couldn't do nothing with LaMarcus Aldridge. 7'1". Jeremy Grant's probably 6'7" with shoes on, and LaMarcus was just giving them the business. We're stuck with Billy. They re-signed him to a new contract and everything. So we're gonna have to work through this. Like right now, we're like lingering around the 3-4 seed in the West, and we've seen how a 4 or 5 game winning streak you can go from being a 3rd seed to being an 8th seed. So they play the Lakers tomorrow. No LeBron. They just got to hop out on the Lakers and beat them up like they did when they played in LA a couple of weeks ago, and just get back in the groove of things because coming to the trade deadline's coming up in a couple of weeks, All-Star break as well. You want to have your team set before you hit that home stretch because right now we've played 50 games and we're 26 and no, it's not 50. We're 26 and 17 right now, or something like that.
See, I wonder if we're getting used to losing. If that is becoming a culture where it doesn't really bother the guys as much when they lose. It's like, we did the best we could. That's what concerns me. Are people pissed off in the locker room when they lose, or is it kind of like business as usual?
Antonio Daniels is pissed off.
Always, he is.
Yeah, always. He's always mad.
Yeah, he's going off.
He has a face for anger.
Yeah, he does. It is an angry face. It's got it's weathered. It is. He does. He be having on that turtleneck and be going off. Let me tell you something. He get mad. He did the same thing on NBA radio too, man. All right. So, with that being said, man, real quick before we go into your struggle face, just real briefly, Uncle Derek is in another love scandal.
Oh gosh!
So savoir-faire is everywhere.
This guy has somehow now been attached to being the man that a woman who was cheating on her fiance was, I guess, cheating with Uncle Derek first. I don't know. I'm not familiar with these people.
He's with Mr. Bezos, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
The Google guy.
Yeah, the Google guy. And apparently, Uncle Derek messed with her first before she got with Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
So, it's Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Uncle Derek, the Uncle Derek report, man. He gives
dirty,
us
man.
Once a month, he gives us something.
He can't never get with a girl that ain't got nobody.
He can't. He's the Pied Piper of monogamy. I don't know where to go with
The
that.
popper of girlfriends, huh?
Yeah.
I got
All right.
that
So, Jay, real quick as you got it, man. You got a struggle face, or you want to move on?
Yeah, I got a.
Of the week.
Yeah.
Well, the struggle face of the month, I would say, goes to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Oh yeah, that's
Alabama, they came in, they beat OU in the Orange Bowl, and so they came out very cocky in the championship game against Clemson, and they got their legs whipped.
Man,
Something
Clemson
crucial.
beat them like Rick James laying on a white couch, boy.
They whipped them, I think it was 41-14 or something like that.
44-16.
So
44-16.
Here's what I want to challenge you on your struggle face, and I will never do this again, but I have to challenge and say, what's more struggle worthy has to be the Clemson Tigers White House meal.
Oh God.
We don't typically go political.
Can we talk about this for a couple of minutes? Can we talk about this for a couple of minutes?
Man, what the heck, bro?
Why did President number 45, he's standing in front of those Big Macs?
He's a millionaire.
They probably didn't even cost for what he got for them cold burgers and everything.
Them hamburgers.
Hamburger wrong.
Them hamburgers called him because he don't know how to spell.
My God! But then you gotta like the shade from Burger King. They said we didn't have hamburgers, but we served hamburgers today.
He couldn't afford a caterer, dude.
Well, I think it's not even so much him because we know the White House serves nothing but the best, and so it's sort of like that was a conscious choice. But it brings you right back to like Talladega Nights and all these other things. That's like, hey,
that was the meal they had. They had Domino's, Taco Bell, and KFC.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's a part of the culture that he celebrates. So to each his own. I'm pretty sure Dabo helped him plan that out.
He's a big old fat Dorito. That's what he is.
It's time for our final cut. That's where we give you our, let's just something. That's where he wipes his neck and get between the cracks and crevices. He's like a baby. You got to get under there because he get milk and stuff in there.
Oh, gosh.
Good one, Drew. That was a good one, sir.
All right. So it's time for our final cut. We give you what's on our heart and on our mind. J-Rock, give him what you got.
All right. For the viewers that don't know, January 1st at 1:15 in the morning, I lost my father. So I started out 2019 has been rough so far, but I've been getting through it. I got a good support system and everything, but I didn't expect that. My dad, that's my guy, strongest man I've ever known in my life, and I just been a lot of reflecting over the last 2 weeks. He had his homegoing service on this past Saturday. And one of the things in there, like I've come to realize over the years, is that, we shouldn't cry when somebody dies. We should always look for happiness in the moments that they gave to us. So in the funeral, I told everybody, stop crying. Think about the time that my dad has helped you, because he had a big heart. And that's where I get my big heart from, is from my father. And I just told everybody, just think about the time that my daddy helped you. Think about the times that, you had fun with him. Think about the times he made you smile and everything. And those were the memories that I always have. Like, I was going through, during the Cowboys game, my stepmother had my dad's photo album, and I discovered a picture of me when I was maybe 2-3 months old, and I just lost it, because I had never seen that picture before. But I just have all these pictures of my dad, and I just have a lifelong of memories with that man. And I thank him for all that he's given for me, over the years. And like I said, if you have a father, just fix that relationship and just continue to talk to him. Because like I told my students at school, I was like, I would give the world to talk to my daddy about the 2019 OU recruiting class. And like I say every week, winners win and losers lose. I love you, Daddy. And this is the Barbershop 918, and I'm out.
Well said, sir. I want to talk about hope for just a second. I don't know if most of you know, but me and my wife adopted my little cousin a few years ago, and he was a ward of the state. And when we brought him to the house, it was rough. It was rough because he just there was just some things he didn't have. One of them being any kind of discipline. So it was rough bringing a 10, 11-year-old kid who doesn't have any discipline into your household, and you're used to things, moving along well. He came in, and it was just chaos to the point that honestly, I wanted to send them back. I really wanted to send them back to the to the state because it was that bad. But if you see this kid right now, who's now 13, he's not the same kid he was not even a year ago. And I'm really proud of him. And that just goes to show you that there's always hope. There's always room for somebody to change or somebody to get better. Never give up hope on anybody or anything. There's always hope. And this kid is a personification of hope. There's so much more to him than he had given us when he first came, and there'll be even more of him later on when he graduates from high school, and this kid ends up going to college and making me and his mom proud. So shout out to my little man. Never give up hope on anybody. There's always room for it. With that being said, don't tell God about your big problems. Tell your problems you got a big God. I'm Raw Dog, and I'm out.
All right. So for me, I want to point out some. We briefly talked about at the beginning of the show about the R. Kelly scandal, and I want to just pass a bit of advice on to everyone who's been kind of joking about it and dealing with it. Understand that these type of issues raise serious triggers in our community for different people who may have faced sexual abuse, different people who've lived through those type of things and survived it. Not everything is ha funny. Some of these things are very, very traumatic. So my hope and my suggestion to you is that you check on your people that you know have survived sexual trauma and see where they are, because when you watch a documentary of that nature, it can trigger and pull out a lot of things. And PTSD is a real thing, and for people to have to navigate through this world with those type of traumas, it's always good for them to know that people are thinking about them and that they're not alone as they are reliving some of the most egregious things that no one should have had to go through. And so check on your people. Even with that episode that we talked about with Blackish, there's a lot of healing and a lot of conversations that need to be had. So I'm encouraging you this week to go out and use your words, have positive dialogue, and really just go through the process of healing with the community and do everything that you can to just, don't sweep it under the rug. Be real about it, be open, and heal as a community. And with that being said, remember that hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And we love you guys for listening, and we thank you for listening to the Barbershop 918. If I can ever connect us back together again, it's not connected. And go ahead. You said, Jay. You said, Jay. What's the next part?
Find us at
thebarbershop918.com.
Because we are the best sports podcast around. Are you there?
I have no clue why I can't piece us back together like I normally can. I don't know. What's going on?
We're only seeing you? Is that what it is?
No, we're only seeing you right now.
Oh, okay.
Don't scratch yourself.
Well, you can find the Barbershop 918. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Podcast,
iTunes,
Speaker, Google Play,
Spotify,
Black Planet. We all over the place. The new and improved Black Planet.
You set us up a Tumblr? They say porn is off Tumblr now, and it's safe to go back to it.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
I don't know who they is. It's nice to be back with you brothers. I actually did miss you guys, man.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be back, man.
Jay, bro.
I love y'all.
Man, you tried your best to make us cry during your.
Yeah, you did.
No, man, there's no tears, man. No tears over here, man.
No tears in sports podcasting, baby.
Nope.
Just dirty one.
Now on the Blue Magic, I may shed tears tomorrow, but.
Oh, he
It's
can
all
get
good.
emotional with them.
Oh, so we out here plugging other podcasts.
Yeah, that's what we doing now.
Hold on. You did the same thing.
It ain't
man.
as though
You
I
did
mentioned the Sit Up podcast found on Anchor and other podcast places featuring Leroy Barber. I didn't say that, or I didn't say Priced Out the podcast also found on other podcast measures. And I also didn't say Napkin Scribbles also found on wherever you can find podcasts. I didn't mention any of my clients.
I'm gonna start pushing my own thing. I'm gonna rap again. I'm getting back on the mic, baby.
Also, Big Bone Tyrone.